An Irish national was arrested in Berlin on Saturday during a heated pro-Palestinian protest that erupted outside the Irish embassy, highlighting growing tensions among diaspora communities over Ireland's foreign policy stance on the Gaza conflict. According to Berlin police, the protest began peacefully in the early afternoon with around 150 demonstrators gathering at Jagerstrasse, home to several embassies in the capital's Mitte district. The crowd was largely composed of Palestinian solidarity groups, human rights activists, and European leftist organizations. Among them was 28-year-old Dara Keane, originally from Galway, who has been living in Germany for the past 3 years. What started as a coordinated demonstration turned tense within hours as protesters accused the Irish government of complicity through silence regarding recent military actions in Gaza. Organizers claimed the embassy was selected as a protest site not out of opposition, but disappointment, believing Ireland should be doing more to pressure the EU and international bodies to intervene diplomatically and economically against Israeli policies. Keane was arrested shortly after 4 p.m. local time during what witnesses described as a scuffle between demonstrators and German riot police. Video footage circulated online shows Keane, wearing a keffiyeh and holding a sign reading "Ireland must lead," engaging in a heated exchange with an officer before being wrestled to the ground and handcuffed. Berlin police later confirmed the arrest in a press release, stating that the individual ignored multiple lawful orders to disperse, obstructed the police line, and resisted detention. Keane is currently being held at the Berlin Mitte police station and is expected to appear before a magistrate on Monday. Supporters of Keane, including members of Irish diaspora networks in Germany, claim he was acting peacefully and accuse police of using excessive force. Dara was passionate, yes, but he didn't attack anyone, said Saoirse Duffy, an Irish student in Berlin who attended the protest. He was asking why Ireland hadn't expelled the Israeli ambassador. The next thing we knew, he was on the ground. The protest comes amid mounting criticism of Ireland's approach to the worsening humanitarian crisis in Gaza. While the Irish government has historically taken one of the most pro-Palestinian positions in the EU, critics argue that Dublin's rhetoric has not translated into decisive diplomatic action. Earlier this month, Foreign Affairs Minister Neil Byrne called for an immediate ceasefire and greater EU sanctions on Israel, but stopped short of recalling Ireland's ambassador or recognizing Palestine as a state, something Sinn Féin and several NGOs have been demanding. Keane and other protesters carried signs reading "Recognition now, silence is violence," and "Not in our name," calling on Ireland to lead an international campaign to hold Israel accountable for alleged war crimes. Others voiced anger over the Irish government's continued participation in EU-Israeli trade agreements despite widespread condemnation of Israeli military actions in Rafah and Khan Yunis. Keane's legal status is now the subject of intense discussion among Irish-German activists and human rights lawyers. If charged with resisting arrest or breaching Germany's strict assembly laws, he could face a fine or a short custodial sentence. His supporters have launched a crowdfunding campaign to cover legal fees and are appealing to the Irish embassy to intervene. Ireland has a moral obligation to ensure one of its citizens isn't punished for standing up for human rights, said Orla Brennan, a spokesperson for Irish for Justice in Palestine, a solidarity group. "We don't expect the embassy to take sides in a protest, but we expect it to protect its citizens." As of Sunday evening, the Irish Department of Foreign Affairs confirmed it was aware of the incident and said consular assistance would be provided if requested. No official comment has been made regarding the protest itself or Ireland's ongoing response to the Gaza crisis. The protest in Berlin is just one of many pro-Palestinian demonstrations that have swept across Europe in recent weeks, from Paris to London to Madrid. In Germany, where political expressions surrounding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict are highly sensitive and often heavily policed, tensions have been particularly acute. Analysts say the arrest of an Irish citizen outside his own country's embassy could become a flashpoint, especially given Ireland's symbolic role as one of the few EU nations seen as sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. Dara Keane may have become a symbol himself, says Dr. Elias Meyer, a political sociologist at the Free University of Berlin. In the age of global protests and social media, a single arrest can galvanize an entire movement. An Irish citizen has been arrested in Berlin during a pro-Palestinian protest in front of the Irish embassy. The individual, who was leading chants in Irish at a demonstration, was allegedly arrested by the Berlin police on Wednesday, April 16. There were approximately 40 protesters, Irish citizens living in Berlin, who attended the organized demonstration titled Ireland's Complicit outside the Embassy of Ireland in Berlin. An activism group called Irish Bloc Berlin, a community of activists involved in pro-Palestinian protests, shared a video of the alleged arrest on their Instagram. "One of our comrades was just arrested for speaking Irish outside the Irish embassy in Berlin," they wrote in a statement in an Instagram post. They had just hand-delivered a letter to the embassy, signed by other Irish citizens, condemning Ireland's active facilitation for genocide. "The police told us ahead of time that speaking Irish, the first language of Ireland, would be fine this time as opposed to this time last year when our Sciorcal Comra event was shut down for the use of our language. But they banned the language before the demo this morning even began, and threatened the liaison with prosecution if anyone spoke Irish." Irish people have a long history, like many people who had been or are still under colonial restrictions, of being forbidden from speaking their language. "We will not comply to their arbitrary demands and intimidation attempts," Saoirse Don Falaistin, a spokesperson, added. The event started at 11 a.m. on Wednesday morning and was registered with the Berlin police 3 days prior, the Irish Bloc Berlin group claimed, adding it had informed the local police that the demonstration would be held partially in Irish. One day before the protest, a document describing the demonstration's nature and any related restrictions was issued to the individual who registered the demonstration, the group claimed. No mention of the Irish language, or of other languages, was made, normally meaning Irish and other languages would be permitted, they said. However, minutes before the demonstration was due to begin, the police informed the organizers that the Irish language would be banned until they could find an interpreter, the group claimed, resulting in organizers canceling a planned speech in the Irish language. Throughout, casual and colloquial use of the Irish language was naturally present in the speech patterns of the attending Irish protesters, who nevertheless were still speaking in English, they claimed. Members of the Polizei approached protesters on several occasions and informed the speakers that the Irish language was not allowed to be spoken during the demonstration, they added. Just as the demonstration was due to end, an Irish citizen leading English-language chants gave a chant with the phrases "Lama" as in Falastin, "Hands off Palestine," and Saoirse Don Falaistin, "Freedom for Palestine," the Irish Bloc said in a statement. After this, the individual was arrested and charged with violation of the Assembly law. In a statement, the Department of Foreign Affairs told the Irish Independent that it is aware of the protest that took place outside the Embassy Berlin on Wednesday. During the protest, representatives of the demonstrators presented a letter to the public counter of the embassy, the department spokesperson added. Earlier this month, 2 Irish protesters were facing deportation from Germany after taking part in pro-Palestinian protests. Shane O'Brien, 29, and Roberta Murray, 31, Irish citizens, were among 4, including a Polish and a U.S. citizen, facing deportation on April 21. Last week, the Berlin Administrative Court granted interim relief to one of the Irish citizens who received a deportation order, the Irish Bloc Berlin claimed. Meanwhile, the second Irish citizen has received a court order which states they can stay until a decision is made on the filed motion within the coming days or weeks, they said. The motion that the individuals filed was to be able to stay in Berlin for the duration of the appeal of their cases, which the Ministry for the Interior of Berlin originally wanted them to do from their respective home countries. Berlin's police department has been asked for comment. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.